à tous.
Hello. I'm delighted to be here with you on this panel for expanding insurance into the informal sector. So banking and insurance and telecom, what are the strategies for this informal sector? We will start by taking a small presentation. I'm Sana ATTIG, Director at Deloitte, in charge of insurance and social protection in Francophone Africa. Today, so we'll start with a recap with regards to the economic indicators. Concretely, today we are an informal sector which is really significant in our economies. It's actually an underinsured giant. In terms of indicators, almost 90% of employment in Africa, in our continent. This is informal employment. So we are between 25 and 75% of the different aspects of the GDP carried by the informal sector. It's really extremely important. In spite of this, we have a penetration rate for insurance which is still quite low compared to other regions. We are at about 1.5% on average. And the question is really the informal sector today is not well addressed. Why? Because there are some obstacles and challenges that we should actually find solutions to, especially three. We have the distribution costs and how we distribute these. It's not something we are going to learn very easily. You know, insurance is something that is complicated. It's an inverted cycle, so we should actually adapt our ways of distributing. So we have populations in the informal sector that are not banked, so they are not accessible or reachable easily. We also have the necessity to develop these business models and the ways of doing them, and we should be innovative to be able to reach this population. And then afterwards, we have a second challenge, that is the types of products that would be presented to this population. This is a population that cannot be addressed with the same types of products and services. We should be able to adapt them to their needs and realities, because their realities are different from what we have in the different sectors, be it very small enterprises and SMEs. There's a third challenge. So this population generally on the continent, we've not necessarily had good insurance education, and consequently there is this issue of what will I do with an insurance plan? How am I going to be covered? In what situations can I benefit from an insurance? So these are the questions they ask. So this is what we do to ensure that this segment of people see the importance of actually subscribing to an insurance program. So in terms of opportunity, this is becoming something we can no longer overlook. We have a huge part of our populations that are not covered by insurance. It increases their vulnerability. Today, it has become a major talking point across the continent to see what to do to be able to include the informal sector. So with regards to this situation, there's a certain number of factors that we can talk about. We have bank insurance, and we also telcos. We also have partnerships with the telcos, and also regulations. So if you take a look at the first factor, that is bank insurance and microfinance, and so you see today's network of distribution of microfinance and banking institutions are quite large to be able to. They are not large enough to reach these populations. The main other problem is the knowledge of this clientele. Knowledge of this clientele. They have very particular realities and now also very specific to their context and their activities. These are activities that are not permanent and also seasonal. So this is a topic. The question is, how can we reach them? They are vulnerable, and also typically the microfinance institutions have better knowledge of these populations, and consequently, we can actually capitalize on their knowledge and their networks to be able to reach these populations. So for the telcos, telecom companies, so we would need to put in place new business models that would allow us to better reach these populations. Going with technology, and also we also have cost repartition, cost distribution, and also with the different telcos, telecom companies. So, but today the telcos present an industry that is actually developing new ways of executing financial activities, but they cannot work alone. They'll need to actually work with insurers and also with the banks to be able to better insure the population. So when it comes to regulatory frameworks, there are several topics that we can address. We have coherence or harmonization and of regulations for banks and general regulations on banks, for example, for electronic signature for mobile payments. So you should actually place it in a context where the basic regulation be harmonious enough to be able to regulate the insurance. We cannot treat this in one-off or maybe in isolated cases. We cannot actually adapt it only to insurance products. We should be able to actually adapt it to the entire financial regulatory framework. And also, the other point is with regards to regulations is another important sector. That is the will. We can see on the market the will of the regulator to actually develop micro insurance, and they are going to. This faces lots of constraints, high barriers and obstacles for micro insurance, and sometimes these could become bricks to the development of micro insurance. And so these were some of the questions that were asked for micro credit and micro insurance in terms of credit and interest rates. So we find ourselves in a state where we put in place a regulatory framework for microinsurance, but which is not really adapted to the reality on the field and not adapted to the different catastrophes or events that unfortunate events that could take place. So eventually it doesn't work. So the regulatory framework should be adapted, should be able to find the right balance and have some level of flexibility and subtlety to accompany the insurance companies and other actors and economic stakeholders on this segment, while still ensuring and protecting the consumers. And typically, there are new initiatives put in place. So we have a regulatory framework allowing the different operators to actually experiment on the field while still being monitored by the regulator, of course. So in terms of findings and funding today, to be able to reach the populations, we cannot do it alone. The telcos cannot do it alone. The insurers cannot do it alone. We should present a partnership, a large coalition that would integrate the different stakeholders and All of these could lead us to the people. What are some of the examples we can have? Unfortunately, we do not have a lot of time, but I wanted to present these two examples because the segments that are addressed are segments that are particularly vulnerable in our regions, in our continent. The first is Pula. It's actually for farmers. And so today we see that climate risk actually exposes these agricultural experts or farmers to a lot of risk. And so this company has been able to adapt and provide an insurance product to cover the households in rural communities and allow them to sort of reduce their level of exposure to these risks and their level of vulnerability to these risks. And so when we take a look at what happens 3 to 4 years, they've been able to get into 13 countries with about 4.13 million clients and households. And so it shows how important their work has been. So for Airtel Tigo is to actually bring to the fore the coverage that they provide, and this is actually based on life insurance. So here the topic is that in some countries, maybe there could be some natural blockades, and also we can. This would be eased with a lot of awareness creation and education, and also a commercial approach that could be a lot more adapted. And so we're talking about we're talking to co-panelists to talk about the possibilities of having a full digital approach, because full digital isn't working currently on the field of play. And so we recommend to actually go with half digital or in this population. So especially during the subscription, you need to explain to them. You need to explain what the insurance product is. You need to explain to them a lot of practical questions, and that is where the physical and digital aspect actually works. So that is semi-digital, or what they call phygital. So the other aspect is called the contracts, and also and even the services can be provided on the and be based on the digital aspect using digital tools. But it's important to still keep the physical human touch and also physical relationships with the client. There are numerous advantages by launching or delving into insurance of these populations. Concretely, there are several advantages for all stakeholders and also for insurance companies to be able to expand the portfolio, and also to be able to have growth and also have risk. So there are lots of advantages for the informal sector. So today we can see that the vulnerability of these populations actually inhibits them to carry out other activities or try to develop other revenue generating activities. So we actually have some national and social issues with regards to ensuring this population of people, and within our economies it is a real lever that would, or launch pad that will allow us to actually go from the informal to the formal aspect of this sector. And it will also allow us to promote investment, because once these populations are not secured or protected, they are going to actually have difficulties to actually try to invest in the growth of their own financial activities, or even get out of the informal sector. So in terms of the approach, we will have to talk about the product. So what product am I ready to offer? Is this product adapted to the targeted population? I can say that there are lots of seasonal activities and lots of people that have very seasonal revenue and subsistence revenue. So you should find a way to collect the premiums in insurance premiums in a sort of fractioned rate. And also you need to ask questions guarantee after guarantee, and also the parts that is going to have the contracts with the police. How can we actually adapt these to the specific needs of these people? Second aspect is with regards to digitalization, and today technology allows us to achieve a lot of things. So we were talking a while ago about distribution. So we'll be able to use it. So a digital aspects to for campaigns via the telcos, and we can actually reach different populations, even if the physical aspects and also human uh, physical relations or person-to-person relations is also important. But this also allow us to reduce distribution costs and also have a better impact per cost incurred. So we have data. So Afis has spoken a lot about data. Data is extremely important. So we have contracts. So we have a lot of data that need to be collected, and so these data we should be capable as insurers and also as banks and telcos to be able to collect them and also analyze them, because that would allow us to better personalize the different products. Afterwards, if we talk about agriculture and the informal sector for the farmers, an agricultural insurance product would not necessarily will not be able to actually function in standalone mode, but generally when we cut out these kind of when we couple them with other global mechanisms, for example, with other forms of insurance, it allows them to be able to actually compensate the users a lot more quickly with regards to their needs, especially for agriculture. It's very important. And of course, we have the partnerships, and so everything that's got to do with partnerships between different stakeholders. So this would allow to cover the different dimensions, and to allow to better anticipate and also understand and also address the needs of this informal sector. So thank you. I hope I was quick enough. I do not know if we can take questions now or we will take questions later. So thank you. I had the pleasure to call my co-panelists. So we have Mr. John Louis MENANN-KOUAME, CEO Orange Bank Africa, Ashok Shah, CEO Apollo Investment, Mr. Gildas Mzuba, Managing Director of SUNU Insurance Cote d'Ivoire, Madam Florence BOUPDA, Global Sector Manager, Financial Institutions Group, Banking and Insurance IFC. Thank you.
Très bien.
I'm pleased to have you all around this table. There is no table, but on the stage. Maybe the different element that we have spoken about earlier during the presentation will have your reactions. So who would like to take the floor first? So maybe ladies first. Thank you. I am really pleased to be amongst you this afternoon. The topic has been spoken about, covered thoroughly, and you have described very well the three elements. So first, the demand in terms of the population that you have described very well, and the informal sector. The offer in terms of the insurer's point of view. And this is not an offer that can be done in an isolated manner. And also the environment of the regulators. And as you have said, there is not only one regulator. So from the standpoint of an institution like ours, this is a very important issue, the informal sector. The vulnerability is also an important issue, and there is also a high diversity of this population in terms of access to the markets, and also there are people who have insufficient revenues, and also people who work on a seasonal basis or in an irregular manner. So this offer question or point refers to this or responds to this demand because this has to do with their survival, and it offers something that can make them earn their living. And this refers us also to the life insurance, and this makes us help all the institutions that carry the same point of view. We have an example in Kenya, which is called Britam, which has provided a micro-insurance which is called micro-insurer. And through this platform, it offers a life insurance product on wallet. This product needs patience in terms of profitability, but through the size, it has achieved 1 million customers. But it requires a financial sustainability over 8 years. So this is in brief my intervention. So this model was tested and it is working. I've also noted that the diversity in terms of needs is also a question to be tackled, and how we can deal with the cost of design of the project. Of course, we don't need to standardize all the way through, but the standardization should not go beyond customization. Thank you. So in reference to your intervention, we have to highlight 2 or 3 points that we have identified by practice. We have a first experience that we have launched in 2012 with my colleagues and Jean-Louis. We have distributed this by means of USSD, and we have rapidly gone beyond 100,000 customers. And we have noticed that they don't remain in our portfolio for a long time. This population that belongs to the formal sector have low access to this life insurance, and the relationship with the insurer is also a challenge. And after 18 to 24 months, we have noticed a sharp drop in our contracts. The intensity of relationships is low with regard to the insurers. These trades have a different kind of intensity in their relations with the customers. The first challenge, actually, to overcome the challenge regarding the informal sector lays in this, actually. There is this promise of guarantees in the future, and how we can create an intensity in terms of relations with our clients remains a challenge. We need to find a way how to combine insurance with various types of products. In terms of life insurance, we are trying to find revisions regarding children and so on, and to trigger this relations intensity. So the time of sale is also an important point to point out. We had an experience around 2019 when we have measured the time of insurance or the time of sales, which is about 5 minutes. And for the retailer, the time of sale for the insurance policies is about 5 minutes, but with the retailers the time is less than that. So the conclusion is to simplify the offer for the time of sale to be comparable to other financial products in the informal sector. So how can we remain in the minds of the customers, and how we can simplify the products for the time of sale to be adapted to the perception of of our interlocutors. This is in brief the idea. So with regard to the enrichment of the offer and the value added, this can make us intensify our relations with the customers. Also, you have spoken about the time of sale and how we can maintain the physical relations by improving the offer, and how to optimize the sales time, and how we can apply this to the distribution. So this also falls into the authority of the regulators.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. And I think we had an excellent presentation on the problems that we have. What it is I might be repeating a little bit, but really what we are trying to do is we are trying to reach the people who need insurance the most, but yet there's a lot of difficulty in getting to them. One of the things that we find in all these years that we have been trying to get to them is that there is a lot of lack of awareness, and those who are aware of it are afraid of the costs because they think that insurance is for the rich. So what we have to do is we have to find ways of reaching them. In Kenya, we have a different problem that is not present in other countries. We talked about telcos. In Kenya, we have a dominant telco. That dominant telco is not interested in making sure that we go freemium or give insurance covers to people for basically taking up airtime. So what we have to do is we have to design other ways of getting them. So we really look at partnerships. And as is mentioned, that without partnerships, you cannot really get the support and get to the consumer. So we look at large consumer bases that are available. In Kenya, we have one is the aggregators for farmers. We talked about Pula, but there are so many more. And those aggregators are extremely important, because what it is that they get to the farmers and we provide the solutions for the farmer. The interesting thing is we have moved away from weather index, because weather index doesn't really work for the farmer, it doesn't work for the insurance companies. So what we have done is we've gone for multi-peril, we are giving much larger covers, and we are making sure that the farmers benefit from those larger covers. So really it takes care of rain, it takes care of drought, and it takes care of perils. The other thing that we have done is that we have now tied up with consumer suppliers, like people who supply gas to people in these slums and rural areas. So we partner with them, and they give covers to the consumers that they are actually supplying gas to. So those consumer supply, the consumer partnerships are very important for us. But all this can only be really be covered if we have got regulatory support. And the beautiful thing is it's a good thing that wherever we have been working is that we are getting the regulator to support us and give us basically a much larger area to play in. And what's happening is that everywhere we go, and where we have to go, whether it's a farmer, whether it's a slum dweller, or even the rural population, is that we provide bundled products. The bundled product is, there'll be life cover, there'll be health cover, and there will be some sort of a property cover. So the bundled products are perhaps, generally a regulator will not allow you to sell life and general covers at all. But here they do. So which is very, very extremely important. So what we need to really do is, as an insurance industry and partnerships, is to really make sure that we can actually have more and much larger support from making sure that we can get awareness to the people who need the insurance. Without the awareness, we are not going to succeed. And that's the most important area, is awareness of the solution that we are providing and the benefit that the solution brings.
Merci beaucoup. Alors oui, effectivement.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. So after the Kenya presentation or reaction, I am sure there are other areas that relate to this, and I'm expecting you to shed light on other dimensions that are problematic that we have with these populations, and this is for us to find ways to and techniques and manners how we can present the product packages, and to be able to guarantee a larger coverage. So in terms of telecommunications, so we have stepped into a very difficult issue, and we are making it more complicated. But I would like to speak about openness in brief. So you have spoken about the access to the market, which doesn't exceed 2%, but also the banking the access, or the people who have bank accounts are really very few according to the percentage. So now we have digital banks like Orange Bank Africa. So the rates of access to bank accounts is important because recently I have noticed in the in the law regulating this sector, which is Article 13, which prohibits the insurers to sell insurance with credit. So in other words, so if the insured person does not pay, so the insurance is not valid. So the person sometimes, or the insured person, happens to not to be able to pay because they don't have the means. Some have season-based activities. So like the cacao farmers who stop working during certain months of the year. And so our bank, which is the digital bank, can provide adjustable products that can offer credits that can allow these people to pay their insurance installments. And this may also help the rate of access to insurance. So with regard to the banking sector, also all need to work on the awareness raising of people to understand the importance of insurance. So for France, for example, or Morocco, we have more insurance policies that are now obligatory by the force of the law. And this can be a solution. And the last point is, in addition to the raising the awareness of individuals, we have the necessity to better use artificial intelligence to support our customers. For example, we have in mature countries insurance companies that can lower the price of insurances in health insurances, for example, and to like, for example, if the insured person is in good health and exercises regularly, the insurance price can be lower because the person behaves in the manner the insurer wants it to. So, for example, also the person who have detectors of fire or water leaks can be a good information for the insurer, because in case of fire, the client will be informed, and the insurer can bear lower charges. These are requirements that are basic in developed countries, but we can develop them also in our countries, and they can, in my point of view, increase the access to insurance and to lower the charge for the insurers. So this is what I have to say. Thank you. So to sum up, regulation is important. You have spoken about Article 13 of the CIMA code, which refers also to, you have also referred to the adaptation of the prices to the risks. Also, you have spoken about countries who have authorized or tolerated micro insurances. And we need a broader reflection about this, and to have more adapted laws. So you have also spoken about the technological support. Now we have access to many means of assessment of risk, which can be adapted to specific populations according to their exposure to risks, and to adapt this to the prices. Maybe we have another subject. So I hope my intervention will be useful. So with regard to the regulator, we look at them as the ones who legislate and so on. So maybe we can be more visionary and provide proposals to develop the sector. So I've been recently in India, and they have worked on a new elaboration of the insurance sector, which states that all Indians must have insurance policies, be them in the informal or the formal sectors. And this aims to make sure that people have health, life, and property insurances. The regulators may have a visionary impact. So in India, they have the deadline for this in 2027. And this needs engagement from all the stakeholders. And in India, they have made a very interesting step, which is to suggest to the insurers to launch the products, and then which they call use and file versus file and use. These are innovations that are very interesting. It's been a long time that regulators would like to innovate. And now artificial intelligence will bring a more interesting dynamic in terms of behavioral data analysis and so on. So insurers are really keen to have such proposals and new products in terms of innovation. So now we have a good percentage of people who are digitalized and from whom we can get the necessary data. So in terms of regulations, the regulators can be visionary, and there are new ways to do this. And there is a possibility to give more freedom to the stakeholders to offer new initiatives and to test them, and also to protect the consumers for everything to go well. And once these products are tested, we can introduce them to, or we can implement them. So we have regulators that are really competent in this field. So in 2023 or 2024, we have a new text now, and I hope that the Indian experience will help us. So beyond the regulators, we have the issue of connection between regulators. We have spoken about all these issues, but usually we have crossing policies that come from regulators. And we have a problem of communication. And before we get into the private sector players, the financial institutions need to be supported by the regulators in a vision of change with regard to regulation and in terms of privacy. And we have worked with Orange Money and other banks, so people are really envious of the amount of data they collect. So because the risk, to assess the risk, you need to have information about that risk. So sometimes some institutions refuse to share their data, and this is necessary to achieve financial inclusion or some laws are very good, very good, but we need to find a way to work together. Sometimes we speak about issues, but we don't find the way to collaborate on them. The last thing is the fact that we speak about awareness about finance, but now we are speaking about the awareness about insurance. So I think the insurance is the most important factor to include some specific populations. And we have made many projects that focus on educating people about the insurance. This comes from our experience in failing to disseminate insurance among the specific populations. And we need the resources to do these educational campaigns. Yes, indeed, we have the financial education, which is very important because we usually speak about the financial inclusion and banking, but we forget to speak about the resilience of this sector. Thank you very much. They are telling me to sum up because we have to stop at 4:58.
Just come in. We talked about digital bank and bank assurance and payment of premiums. Our experience is that basically we can't ask we can't give them credit on the premiums, but what it is that the partner builds in the premium into their solution. So what happens is the partner collects the money and then gives it to us, and that's perhaps easiest for us. That is, but coming to regulator, the regulator is very important. But we have found that for microinsurance, it's a very collaborative effort. The regulator normally is willing to support you, and they give you more flexibility for the cover. And they basically I think the regulator is looking at us is that we are willing to give the cover which the client needs, and that we are willing to support the claims. So I think that's the most important thing, is that how fast do we pay claims. In Kenya, we basically have a regulation that within 10 days the claims have to be paid. But we are trying to make sure that we can pay those claims within 2-3 days.
Merci beaucoup. Je suis vraiment désolée.
Thank you very much. I am really sorry. We have to wrap up this session. I think we have looked at all the potential that we can have from the cooperation between the stakeholders. Thank you very much for your participation to this panel. And now I would like to call Mr. KACOU DIAGOU and Mr. SAQWARE. Thank you very much.
Ah, on fait tous une photo de moi? Je sais pas, on m'a dit pas mal de choses bizarres. Je vous en prie. peut le faire tous ensemble, non Venez, venez. On a un hard stop. The bag, the bag. The bag.
Ils ont eu 2 tours de parole sauf moi, c'est vache. J'aurais pu faire synthétique en 30 secondes, mais c'est vache quand même. Parce que j'ai gardé des informations pour la deuxième...
Ils m'ont pas laissé. J'ai reçu plein de messages en mode arrêtez, arrêtez, arrêtez.
Bon. Merci. Il y a des choses plus importantes.
Merci, je vous en prie. Merci beaucoup. Ah, il y a le deuxième tour. Oui, oui, ils ne m'ont pas laissé.
C'est à vous?
Oui, ça c'est à moi.
C'est pour vous?
Ouais. Merci. Je vous en prie. Oui, il parle anglais. Merci. Donc le deuxième...
Thank you. So the second round, so to speak, I am happy to receive Mr. KACOU and Mr. SAQWARE. You have listened to our colleagues about what we need to do to overcome or to overcome barriers to reach out to the informal sector. So we are keen to listen to your intake about this. So after the experts that spoke before me, so I'm feeling that I don't have much to say. You have given an overview about the issue. So the informal sector represents the largest section of our assets, human assets in our countries, and the active population which have very low incomes and very unstable. This causes constraints for insurers who must, in this case, issue guarantees. So for insurance to access this sector, we need innovative ideas. And also we need to discuss among stakeholders, especially the regulators, in order to decide which way to go. So one of the speakers has said that the regulators don't speak the same language, or they don't start from the same perspective. And the regulation of the insurance sector and the banking sector is different from one country to the other. So the banking regulators, the insurance regulators need to have the same logic. Also, with regard to the private players who would sell the insurance policies, need to base their decisions on mutual agreements, and to take into consideration the informal consumers who have a low income. In most cases, their revenue is not stable, and they are not educated in the subject of insurance, and they don't understand insurance. Even African intellectuals do not understand insurance very well. Some and most of them don't have a financial education. So it is necessary to provide intensive information campaigns to all the population for them to understand the importance of insurance for individuals, for families, for society, and for the whole country. Because insurance contributes to the development of the country as a whole and the funding of it. The third thing, so after adaptation and mutual agreements, insurers also must be innovative, and they need to simplify their processes. So insurance policies need to be simplified in such a way that they can be acceptable for this population. So I just wanted to use these terms. So consultation, education, and simplification, innovation, and adaptation. So this is in brief what I wanted to say. So to sum up what my colleagues have said previously. Thank you very much. So in terms of regulations and of insurance, so please, Mr. SAQWARE, please let us know your intake about this.
Thank you very much. I understand talking between the period where people go, it is quite difficult, but allow me to register my appreciation to the organizing committee for inviting me to this session. Now, with relation to the topic about informal sector, I have only about 3 things to make. One is that going by the experience of my country, and in particular my institution, we don't categorize our population in our speeches as informal and formal. Because I become informal simply because I didn't take insurance or I don't have a bank account. To me, it is a people without insurance. And you can have no insurance because maybe you don't understand, or you have alternative better than insurance, or no access. So we have to solve those problems. Let's have an access, let's have understanding, and more so, let's have the value. Maybe I have a better protection or better solution to cover my risk than insurance. So let's have the value. So in this context, we have noticed over time that conventional insurance distribution channels, there is an increase of other distribution channels. That is telecoms is coming in, and we are giving them the license. For example, in Tanzania, we decided to provide what we call insurance digital platforms to distribute insurance in addition to agents, brokers, and many other intermediaries. And we allowed banks to distribute insurance through various regulations. So that makes a value to the telecoms because there are common features. One, the telecoms will want to have an alternative income stream. Banks will want to have an alternative income stream that they value. They have technology and capabilities, but also they have financial capacity, but customer base. They know they have the customer, they can get insurance. They don't have insurance, they can get insurance, and they get value out of it. So when we allow that, we see the impact. We see the number increasing. For example, we see in 2021, we had like 17 million people with insurance, and then in 2023, we had 23 million people through the IDPs, which I've mentioned, insurance digital platforms. So that is something which we see it that many people will join in the intermediaries when some regulation are put in place. But for me, as I said, I think I categorize population in only two categories: people with insurance, people without insurance. Because if I don't have, if I'm a farmer, I don't have an insurance, I don't become informal. It is what it is. I'm a farmer. I mean, so I'm not informal, but we need to have a solution to our people. Are we happy with that progress? No, we thought that there are many things to be done. One is to expand insurance, compulsory insurance covers. For example, in 2023, we decided to have a universal health insurance law, where everybody has to have health insurance, at least a certain minimum package for each citizen. So the sector has to look at, with that package, how much is it priced to make sure everyone has health insurance. And of course, I understand what are the main challenges, which all of us we have been talking in this session. A major challenge from the regulatory point of view is to how do we make these players, telecoms, banks, partner without affecting the existing distribution channels, which we had many years before. Because that is the complaint you get from the regulator's point of view. They will say the brokers are being skewed by banks and telecoms and the likes. Those are the things we have to harmonize. The second thing, I think, is to look at investment in our capabilities in terms of systems and staff. Because what we realize is that the banks distribute insurance, but they don't give better capacity to the employees to educate, to train, and have a better department, even for the telecoms as well, to have a department which is modest and robust. I think in conclusion, I think what I have gathered here is that this journey is not an event. It's a journey, it's not an event. The partnership has to come with value. What is it you give what are you bringing in the partnership? Then it makes it success. The second one, I think it has to be gradual. It has to be in phases. Like in the first one, we want to see banks and telecoms working together, and the others. And then in the third, fourth phase, what do we want to cooperate with? But the last, I think, is to keep the promises, show the value to the informal sector, which I don't call informal, show the value rather than pushing the product without value. I mean, if you push, then they will say it is better to be without. But if you show the value, I think it's easy even for regulator to say there is a value, we can sell together and access the market. Thank you.
Merci.
Thank you, sir. So one of the ideas you've mentioned is the promotion and to find a balance between these partnerships and between the stakeholders while ensuring the survival of the agents and the brokers and the other players, and also we have spoken about the work needed from the regulators to make sure that there is not much damage. Thank you very much. I'm pleased to have you, and I'm sorry we don't have much time because there will be a ceremony in the plenary. Thank you.